Here's what's happening in the news. Today marks the 50th day of the signage of the Coinage Act of 1965. So here's an article in the Wall Street Journal today. It says 50 years of debasing money. The Coinage Act of 1965 marked the end of silver coins, contrary to what LBJ promised. And so this author here, or writer here, goes through a list of just different things from the speech given by Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965 as to why it was of importance for the United States to basically remove silver from the coins that had been in circulation or that was in part of the coinage system since the original act of Coinage Act of 1792 rather. So about 183 years up to that point, silver was included in all the coins, and the dollar, which was defined as it says here, the dollar as 371 and 1/4 grains of silver, or the equivalent in gold. And it says here that up until that point, in 1792 to 1965, it was 0.77 ounces of silver, which was the relative value of the dollar. And so he goes here and just gives a couple of things from his speech, which I'm going to go right to his speech directly. But one thing that stood out was how he says this was a vain boast, referencing how coinage would not be, 1965 coins and below would not be rarities. It says the value of the dollar started sinking after the 1965 Coinage Act, and by 1980, the dollar, so long valued at 0.77 ounces of silver, plunged to 0.02 ounces of silver, and today it is valued at 0.06 ounces of silver. And so basically saying that, once the Coinage Act was enacted, silver became a commodity and began being traded as, something not associated with as money. And from that point on, the paper price of silver began skyrocketing, which meant the value in relation to the dollar began to sink. And so to go directly to the speech, here's a direct speech here given July 23rd, 1965 by Lyndon B. Johnson in the Rose Garden at the White House. And a couple things here which definitely worth mentioning. I'll include the link here if you want to read it for yourself. But he mentioned here as to why it was important to do this. And it says all these new coins the same size will bear the same designs to do their present counterparts. Now, all of these changes are necessary for a very simple reason. Silver is a scarce material. Our uses of silver are growing as a population and as our economy grows. The hard fact is that silver consumption is now more than double new silver production each year. So in the face of this worldwide shortage of silver and our rapidly growing need for coins, the only really prudent course was to reduce our dependence upon silver for making our coins. If we had not done so, we have run the risk of chronic coin shortages in the very near future. There's no change to the penny and nickel. There's no change in the silver dollar, although we have no present plan for a silver dollar production. Some have asked whether our silver coins will disappear. The answer is very definitely no. Of which, him called himself forecasting, looking ahead, had no clue that people who were aware of the importance of the precious metal that was in the coins would definitely begin removing them from circulation as it is today, where you will not find many pre-1965 coins in circulation whatsoever because they are of value. And so here it just goes on to give a couple more reasons as to why and how and things like that, which is all, turned out to be a joke for the most part because as the dollar became more debased or devalued rather because there's nothing of substance, the cost of living skyrocketed, national debt increased, all those things began happening, and ultimately it leaves the people who are dependent upon the currency in a more poor state. So this is just what's happening this is what's going on, and wanted to let you know and check it out if you are interested. Thanks.